Hello and welcome to the webinar, the second and the last webinar of this year for the Ohlala program, and of course a webinar that can be used by any of you. And I know I invited a lot of people, and I know a lot of you are coming and are already here. But I also invited some of my existing clients because I know that they would definitely take advantage of the of what I'm going to talk about here. Everybody is really interested in making French a little easier and a little faster. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. And of course, any questions and answers to your questions that will come through today, as well as questions that have been sent to me via email and other venues. I'm gonna keep moving here because this is prettier. All right. Okay, so. First, I would like to dive into what do I want to say first? Well, first I want to wish you a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. I know that we are in the middle of, in between Christmas and the New Year's, and everybody is busy. Yet a lot of people are looking forward to making the best out of 2015, because I've seen a lot of people coming to see this webinar and interested to hear about French, about friends, about Paris. How can we be more like the way we want to be French speakers, I guess, for many of us, going to France and Paris, as well as how to increase or how to improve the way that we learn so that we can apply to anything that we're actually learning. And the techniques, everything that I'm talking about today apply really to everything that you learn. So just wanted to make this little intro, because if you are focusing just on French, sure, you're going to get a lot of benefit out of it. But I fully believe that when you use something in more than just one slice of your life, it's going to become a habit, and the more you use it in different places, the better it's going to work for French as well. I just wanted to tell you that what I'm talking about today is not only applicable to French, but it's also applicable to anything that you really want to learn. So for those of you who don't know what Ohlala is, because like I said, I invited my existing clients, and some of my clients don't have no idea what this is. So this is a group program that is geared toward conversation when you prepare to go to Paris and you need to, really quickly to put together your conversation with techniques and practice and exercises and everything that really applies to conversation. So this is pretty much what the Club Ohlala is. It's a group program though. So all of my one-on-one VIP clients who are here or who are watching the recording, you must know that you can definitely come into this program to have a little bit of more of a community kind of a experience. And I know that some of you told me that you'd be interested in that, especially for the conversation element. And you can definitely combine the two, so the one-on-one with the group program. The group program is the group program is called From Newbie to Ohlala, and the group really is called Club Ohlala, the club. So all the club members who are here, welcome, and I'm happy that you're taking a little ahead, I guess an early start to your program. The program starts on January the 5th, and so if you're here to listen to all this, it's really good to have a little bit of a insight in the techniques that you can use using these techniques during your program. Okay, so how can we use our body's intelligence to help us learn and speak better French? This is a little bit of a, I guess, shortcut, or is something that is tricking, quote, tricking the system. Is looking under the hood of how do we learn and how do we operate and what do we really want to get out of this. So you can use these techniques in everything that you learn, in everything that you take on. Say, for instance, I really want to learn surfing, and I know I'm gonna use these techniques when I'm gonna start learning surfing, when I'm gonna be very close to the ocean in Houston in March, I hope. So, well, so it can apply really to everything. So there are three techniques that I use that not many coaches or teachers are using out there. And so those are the three techniques. Committed impulse is really an approach. Deep practice, and sense memory. So these three techniques are used by me in all my programs. Well, of course, because this is how I coach, and it works much faster for everybody, and it's much more fun for me as well. As my existing clients know already, I don't consider myself a teacher. I'm a coach, and I want to have my fun. So I don't want to get bored. I never do, because I use these techniques. And so I'm always interested both in your learning process as well as in my own. Because what happens is that when you learn French, I learn you. So as you're going to start, as you're going to become one of my club members, you're going to see that while you learn the French language, I'm going to learn you as the way you operate, so that I can give you more insight. So because of that, nothing is boring for me, because everybody is different. And even when I get to know someone, it's actually even better, because it's such a great connection that I have with my one-on-one clients, that it's really fulfilling to see the changes and the growth, as well as everybody is different. So you are different now from the moment we started the webinar, and so if I were to talk to you, I would see that difference, and it's really, for me, is I'm fascinated by that. So to me, it's fascinating to see your changes and to see how you use what I'm telling you. So let's start with committed impulse. Committed impulse is an approach that has been created by my acting coach, and one of the big, not so well known, but really big actors. He lives in New York, and his name is Josh Pais, and he plays with Susan Sarandon, Nicole Kidman, to name just two of the big stars he's been playing with. So, and he is very prolific. If you search him in the IMDb, which is the Internet Movies database, you will see how prolific he is. Not only is he playing in his studios productions, but he's also creating his own. He's prolific, so he's a role model, because he uses this technique, or this approach, is a role model, and I give him as an example because we all want to be as productive as we could be. And so there are some specific responses of our body that are actually stopping us from being the most or the best that we can be, the most productive that we can be. What is productivity? Is the amount of work or the amount of something that you can do in the unit of time. So let's say in a minute, in an hour, in a day, in a month, in a year. So have you done as many things as you wanted to do in 2014? If you did, that's fantastic. Some of us didn't, or some of us did maybe even more than they wanted, than they dreamed or they planned. And that happens when you, when we, I should say, because I am applying, I'm using this, that happens when we are really in the moment and we know how to listen. So you can find more information about this technique, this approach. I keep calling it technique, but he always tells us to call it approach. He's considering it as an approach. It is an approach to life. It's a lifestyle, pretty much. When you commit to your impulses, but you have to first identify your, I guess, the forward impulses. We have forward impulses and we have resisting impulses. And so if we are committing to the impulses that tell us that we can't, that we shouldn't, that to stop, well, of course, if it's not a survival situation, then we will definitely not do as much as we want to do in the unit of time. So listening is the byproduct of this approach. And I'm going to give you a little bit about the listening, just a couple of pointers, because listening is not so much a theory, because if it's a theory that it stays into your mind, listening has to be an experience. And so I'll give you a couple of pointers so that you know how and if you are literally, if you're actually listening or you are not. So listening, what we have been trained to do when we listen is to listen to do something. So listen to learn, listen to enjoy, listen to learn, whatever I'm saying here, or listen to enjoy the music, or listen to answer, which is most likely the one that we're using the most. So listen to do anything is listening with an agenda. When we listen with an agenda, we really don't listen. We acquire bits of information, but we do that so that we can use it in one of whatever it is that comes next, that we want to come next. So when we do that, we are actually comparing what we already know with what we think we heard. Why am I saying what we think we heard? Because when we are not listening fully, we are missing bits of information. And when we are missing bits of information, we are filling in with assumptions. When we fill in with assumptions, we already are talking about all information because we knew that information before, and then we fill in what we didn't hear or what we didn't understand. And so, which means that we don't really hear everything that is being told. We don't get new information. We are getting old information adjusted or an upgrade to the old information, but not new information. And what that does, it actually decreases the speed of our learning. So say, for instance, someone talks to me and tells me something, If I assume that I know that person, and if they told me before something remotely similar to what they're telling me right now, I'm going to put in so much assumption that instead of talking to the person on the 29th of December at 6:15 Eastern Standard Time, I'm probably talking or listening or referring to the person, I don't know, in 2012, whenever they may have mentioned that similar or the same topic before. Listening is hearing what the other person has to say from their point of view. Granted, we don't know everybody's point of view, so we can just guess, but it's better to guess in the moment than to assume that we know from what we knew, from what we heard in the past. Considering that every person is different from moment to moment will help you that. Considering that you are different from moment to moment will help you do just that. So when you accept the fact that you are not the same person now that with the person who came onto this webinar whenever you came or when it started at 6 p.m., that's going to help a lot, because then you're going to get curious, and getting curious to see, who am I at this point in time? What do I actually hear today? It's just like reading the same book over and over again and discovering what it tells you at different ages. It's pretty much like that. Only we accept the fact that we are different at different ages, but we don't quite yet accept fully that we are different from moment to moment. Or we do theoretically, but we don't necessarily use it so much. So this is what listening is. And when we listen, because we all go to assumptions, it's our mind which is the survival mechanism that helps us helps us survive, but also jumps in whenever something unknown comes into the environment. And learning is something new into the environment. And guess why we have resistance when we're learning something new? Because it's a survival mechanism. Anything new in the environment, and especially when we feel that we start to change, then the survival mechanism comes into the play, and rather than going forward onto the learning process, we stop, get nervous, get frustrated, get bored, start to ask, why do I have to do this? And this is your survival mechanism, which if you recognize in time, then you will work with it. Don't resist it. See, okay, so that's what happens. This is normal for any learning process, and this is why we are giving up on our New Year resolutions 2 weeks in the year. It's a statistics that most of us do that. And it is because we start to feel that we change, the mind gets scared because of the unknown and stops us, keeps us into the familiar. And familiar is that person who didn't know how to speak French, right? And another pointer to gauge, as in like to monitor ourselves to see when do we actually listen properly, would be to see if we are listening for the silence between the sounds. So when we listen for the silence between the sounds, then we know for sure that we are really listening. And sometimes that's the thing with the learning. That's learning. When we learn something, we go through different phases of learning in the process. And so problem is that we think that, oh my God, if I don't think about what I learned, then I'm not going to remember. And I am here to tell you that if you don't think about what you learn, your body is going to remember, and you have to start trusting it because it remembers much more, much faster, and it forgets much slower than the mind does. Now that's about the body. Anyway, so this is the first technique I recommend everybody. I do recommend to all my clients to go to committeedimpulse.com, and Josh has there the first 4 steps or something. It's an audio lesson where he introduces the principles of the committed impulse principles, the 4, well, yeah, principles, sure, but it's not very theoretical. I mean, you'll see it's breathing, and it's breathing, feeling what's inside of us, feeling what's in the environment, or sensing with all the senses, and I'm back, as in I'm here, which are tools, 4 tools for committing to your impulses and for listening. So I believe that you have to get on his newsletter in order to get that freebie. I recommend that you do that. I have it, but I don't have Josh's approval to distribute it unless you are on his newsletter list. And if you don't want to stay there, I recommend though that you do, because he doesn't have these newsletters just for actors. Anybody who is in business, and we all are. So it's very useful for anybody. But of course, if you don't want to stay, you can unsubscribe. He wouldn't be mad at you, but you're gonna get that freebie. And I prefer that you hear everything from him, and I do recommend this to all my students, my clients, and the club members. Of course, they will, because we will have homework based on that audio, and I can't wait to have to play a little bit with it, because it's really fun. So that was about committed impulse, and I'll be long, 20 minutes. Okay. The second tool to use our body is, which one do I want to do first? Yeah, let's do the sense memory. Okay, we'll do the sense memory because it's related to committed impulse. Both committed impulse and the sense memory are very physical. Well, actually, everything that I'm telling you right now today, and what I'm using when I coach French learners, it's very physical, because language is very physical. It's very organic and very physical. So I do recommend that you use these techniques, are much more organic, and your body knows much better how to use it much faster. So let's do sense memory. Most of us know what muscle memory is. So if you don't, I'm going to explain briefly. The simplest example that I can give, and this is going to be how I'm going to start with, is something that we all may have experienced, whoever has a phone, and dial the phone of someone after a long period of time when they didn't use that phone number anymore. So when we know something to do something physical, the body remembers it much faster than the mind does. The body forgets it much slower than the mind does. And so proof of that is when you have a friend and you are calling him on the phone, and you dial his phone number, and you dial it as a daily for a year or whatever, and then for a while you don't. Let's say, I don't know, you don't speak with them anymore, or you are with them all the time, you don't need to call them. And then after a few months or so, you want to call them again. And so your mind doesn't quite like, you remember that phone number. What was that phone number? And so you try to dial. And when you dial it, your finger will know the place to go to. That is muscle memory. And it is used by astronauts and sports superstars and sports, well, everybody in sports. this is really what training is. Well, physical training is. And so this is muscle memory. The muscle memory is one step which we're using all the time, but sense memory is using not just the muscle memory, but all the other senses. So for instance, you can use, well, we all know, I guess, that the smell is the strongest sense that we have. It's ingrains in the memory everything much faster and for the longest time. And that is because I was just reading yesterday the anatomy of it. The sense in the brain for the smell, the sense of smell is the closest to the memory of some sort. I don't have the terms. My friend Shantae Taylor, who's a neuroscientist, and I'm hoping to have a bonus from her to teach us how to learn even faster and to use shortcuts for the brain and all that stuff. She'd know how to call all these glands and nerves and pathways and whatever for us who are more geeks, and I am one. So that is for the smell, but it's hard to use the smell. It's a little harder, I guess it would be possible, not impossible, to use the smell in order to learn something, like to learn French. So, but all the other senses are much more like much handier when we want to learn something, including French. So what I really all this explanation and the fact that the senses are very useful, the sense memory is very useful to memorize faster and for a longer time, is because for pronunciation especially, and this is something that a lot of people are struggling with, the pronunciation. So for pronunciation, a lot of people are actually looking in the mirror to see how do their lips look when they pronounce something. And I'm actually looking at my lips right now, but it's not as much into the lips as it is into the mouth that happens when you pronounce something. It is where is the tongue, what's the position of the tongue, how fast, the cheeks, the opening of the mouth. Everything inside the mouth is a whole instrument, is like an instrument. Trombone, I'm thinking of instruments that change shape. So trombone is an instrument that changes shapes for sounds. So our mouth changes shapes for sounds. So this is pretty much what happens if you compare with a trombone, for instance. I don't know of any other instrument that changes shapes. But that's, I guess, it's good enough. So when you practice a sound, if you just rely on your ear, that's not going to be enough. You can't rely just on your ear, because that doesn't actually give you enough information. So what you have to do, you have to use what you feel in your mouth, and what you feel in your mouth is the tactile sense, even taste, but most of it is tactile. What do I feel that's going on in there? And so if some sound I hear that is right, then I'll just couple it with what I feel in my mouth that I've been doing right, so that the sound comes out right. The problem with a lot of us when we are beginners is that we don't quite remember. We don't quite hear the sounds when we are beginners. So it's a problem, and I know I had this problem when I was learning American English. Is that we just can't hear the difference between what's correct and what's incorrect. And that alone puts us into big trouble, because there's no guide that we have. And obviously, if I would look in the mirror, I wouldn't I wouldn't have a mirror when I speak with someone, so that wouldn't be helpful for sure. So if you train yourself, when you end up hearing the difference between the way you pronounce, which let's say is not correct, and the way it's supposed to be pronounced, and the variations between them when you hear them, then really notice in your mouth what's going on and how can you use that so that you can pronounce it correctly every time, or at least to be able to correct yourself every time. So this is about sense memory. And the third technique is the deep practice. I cannot count how many people came to me and complained that they cannot practice slow enough and they cannot speak slow in French or in slow, period. And or they were complaining that they speak too slowly in French and that they wish they could speak a little faster. Well, this is a myth. Well, actually, no, I don't know if it's a myth, but it's a bit of I guess a big enemy of for everybody who starts to learn French or any language, because we all hate the fact that we sound like a 2-year-old when we know that in our mother tongue we can speak, we can be very witty, and we can speak with humor and a certain speed. We have intonation, and when we learn another language, French in our case, we don't, and we hate it. And the more we hate it, the more we start hating, well, French itself. And I know a lot of people. Actually, I just remembered now. That's why I was having that. I stopped a little. I just remembered the one thing that I really want to learn, and I haven't mastered yet. I'm not even close. Is to read music. And my father is a musician. He tried many times to teach me how to read music. And I read music up to a certain point. But I stopped at that point where I feel I can do it. I feel I could do it so much better, but I don't. I want to jump from here to just have songs, and no, I'm good. No, I should be good enough. I don't need my dad anymore, which, well, we all do that, don't we, with our parents? But it's a language, right? Reading music and writing music, again, it's a language. So is that block that me too, I have and I experience, I know I relate to when I'm doing something too slowly and I really want to be way beyond. I know I really want to be better than that really fast. I also experienced this in English, but I got used to it because I would train myself with these tools. So I adjust the speed at which I'm speaking. Each word has a different speed depending on how well I feel I pronounce it. So this is our pain, right? Everybody has this pain. I hate speaking slowly. I hate making mistakes. Well, that's what I hate. I hate speaking so slowly. The deep practice is a technique that is used by the hot beds of the highly skilled professionals. And the technique is explained in detail in a book called The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle. I actually recommend it to all my clients today to buy it. It's on Kindle 9 something, I believe. and 13, I don't know. It's really cheap. It's around $10 upper, more or less. So deep practice, I'm going to give you an example, which I remember because of my music passion for music and my pain that I don't read music as well as I wish I did. So one example that Daniel gives in the book is when you practice, I don't know how many of you are playing an instrument, but we've been seeing enough musical movies, I guess, movies about that we could imagine. So when you play a song that is very popular, let's say Happy Birthday, I'm just giving you an example, played so slowly that a bypasser doesn't recognize the melody. This is deep practice. Why do we do that? Anthony Hopkins, the big actor, he's a big Hollywood actor, star, huge, fantastic actor. He runs his lines 250 times. And that is because the brain works with repeats. So the more we repeat, the synapses, the neural pathways are actually created in the brain. We don't forget. So we can do that, or we can repeat so slowly that nobody recognizes the melody or whatever it is that we're saying, to help our brain to learn 10 times faster. So do get the book, and the deep practice is a technique that I use, and it's amazing how that actually helps the brain to see what it has to do. So when we repeat something, we want to learn a word or a phrase or something, and we repeat. Or we want to learn how to dance the steps, and we repeat. We are always repeating in our mind with the end result, which everybody recommends that we do because, motivation and blah, blah. The thing, though, is that it's a mix between wanting or seeing the end result as well as the moment of right now. When you repeat the steps, one step at a time, we actually give our brain the time, enough time and bandwidth to see each and every step, or each and every sound. Brain works with images. In our brain, we actually visualize, as in we think in images and we are communicating them through words. We just describe our image thoughts in words. We don't see the words. And that's why the words elude us, because we don't actually see them. So the idea, that the trick here is to give yourself the time and the luxury to see the words, to see each sound. So starting from the sound and then to the word, so slowly that the brain will see it, and you won't have to repeat it as many times. Not to say that Anthony Hopkins is not a genius. Well, oh my God, he's awesome. But brain works in different ways. So we may as well do that, the repetition of, however many times, as well as just repeating very slowly to see what we are doing. I had all my clients having huge aha moments by speaking very slowly, they corrected themselves and never, ever made the same mistake again. And so this is something that I definitely recommend. I'm very thrilled that I can offer you this right now with this webinar. Anyway, I just realized that I want to go now into the questions and answers. And I'll give you a little bit about the program, the Ohlala program. But first, I want to tell you that if you register to the Club Ohlala, so clubohlala.com, before 8 o'clock, it's going to be 7 when I finish this, so before 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you're going to get a free one-on-one session with me, which is huge, I think. So you're going to be able to correct your pronunciation once and for all with me. You don't need years and years to work for that because we have our own techniques, don't we? So if you register to Club Ohlala before 8 o'clock p.m., so you have an hour and 20 minutes. But do it now because I have a limited number of spots. So do register now, and you're gonna have a one-on-one with me, and I'm so thrilled to have you. All right. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm just gonna show you a little bit about the program, and in the let me just do that. Okay, just wanna let it. I'm gonna share my screen with you. Let's see. Let's see if this works. Yeah, not just yet. Okay, I'll do it again. I don't want to do the entire screen because that's quite messy. Anyway, so I'm going to share with you the page with that shows the program. And in the meantime, I'm going to answer the questions. And I'll do a third try, and if not, yeah, it doesn't want to. So I'm going to share the entire screen, and then there we go. There we go. So this is the program, the Club Ohlala. There we go. And I'm going to so read this on your own time. Just going to look for some questions in the meantime. You don't forget that we have a lot of time, as in like before 8 o'clock p.m. today. If you subscribe, if you register, sorry, to Club Ohlala, then you will have a free one-on-one with me. Excellent. Okay. I think you may have just heard my talk. Okay, so going to the questions. Feel free to ask the questions in the chat here that is under the video. And now I'm gonna go into the questions. Will I be able to make more conversation during the Q&A live sessions? Yes, you will be able to make conversation during the Q&A sessions. There are people who don't necessarily like to do that, and they're very shy, and this is why I recommend that you have a conversation accountability and conversation partner in the club. We have a Facebook group where we are you're gonna have my one-on-one undivided attention and answers. So that would be a first fantastic help for you. And in the Facebook group, you also can find a lot of other people to have to partner with. And so but during the Q&A, you can come with that partner, and everybody is welcome to come. And so, of course, and you can come with a partner, and you can make conversation with your partner, and I'll guide you, I'll coach you. But if you are very timid, then, well, maybe if you register now before 8 o'clock, then you're going to have a one-on-one with me, and so I'm going to coach you so that you're not as shy and you feel a little better about your conversational skills. So that is definitely a yes. How much will I be able to speak after 8 weeks with you? Quite a bit if you do the exercises that I'm asking of you, and of course if you have conversation sessions with your accountability and conversation partner, it should be quite a great advancement in your French, even if you start from zero. That should be definitely something that you'd be happy with. You really only need conversation at the level of, French for your first trip to Paris or your next trip to Paris, which is not, academic level or anything. This is why only 8 weeks. Normally, it should be much longer for a higher level, but you can definitely take more classes with me afterwards. But after 8 weeks, again, depending on how much time you put into it, you're going to have 8 weeks with me as well as with your accountability partners. And that should do a lot of advancement, like I said. Would I be able to practice my conversation between the Q&A sessions? Of course. As I was just mentioning, there is the possibility, and actually I'm going to make that as a rule, that everybody has an accountability and conversation partner. And well, of course, if you really don't want to, you don't have to, you won't do it, that's fine. But I definitely recommend that you do if you want to take get the most out of this program. I'm learning, and I have a very I'm afraid of my past tense. Should I not worry when someone asks what I did yesterday yet? Okay. Well, if you don't know the tenses, that's okay. You, and especially us in the English world, we meet so many people who are actually not too good in English, and we understand them. I'm not saying that you should aim for a low level, but I'm saying that the communication, the story is king. So if you make a compelling enough statement or story, then really the fact that you're not using past tense right now, it's okay. You can't do anything about it, right, until you know it. And there are a few very simple tricks that I share during the Club Ohlala program, which will help you easily master the past tense. So that's not one of the difficult tenses. One of the difficult tenses is subjonctif, présent, subjonctif passé, imparfait. The written tenses are the ones that are difficult, not the spoken ones. It's definitely not past tense. And yes, it's a matter of memorization of some memorization, of course, but that doesn't mean that. And another thing too, and that's a trick that I actually teach, I share in my courses, is that you should learn not past tense in an, I don't know, in a day, which you can't. But what you can learn is the skill of rephrasing. So if you try to learn a number of verbs, which you have to, right? So the very basic ones, and then rephrase your sentences to use those verbs, then you're golden, because then you can actually create You can paint a story in your audience's mind. Audience means, even the partner of conversation, that will be compelling enough so that people won't worry about you using just the same verbs. Nobody cares about that if you're a really good storyteller, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. What level of proficiency is Ohlala? It is for people who it will give you a high beginner, low intermediate level of conversation. This is also for people who either for people who never spoke French before, as well as for people who are at, say, intermediate level of knowing French language, but they can't speak a word, because the problems are similar between the groups, these two groups. So it will give you, and again, it very much depends on the time that you put into this, and it should be very much fun if you have a partner for conversation and you play around with things and with words and with stories and stuff like that, and it's really a lot of fun. And so if you enjoy it, and if you use it properly the way I'm sharing with you, then you should be definitely able to have like a high beginner, low intermediate level of conversation, which is what you need for a trip to Paris. Is the group program more travel focused? Well, not so much. I mean, we're talking about travel and about, the trip to Paris and what we do there and how we get there and words and phrases and vocabulary, stuff like that. But, when you go to Paris, people there don't, necessarily travel unless you talk to people who are travelers. So the short answer is no. It gives us the foundation for a conversation in any context. When will you run the program again? So this is an annual program, is once a year. I don't intend to run it again until December of next year. So this program is actually geared toward your New Year's resolution. The reason I'm saying this is because so many people want for so many years to learn French, and then they keep forgetting, or I guess dropping that wish. That I really want to help those people who have this New Year's resolution, to help them follow through, I should say, with this desire, and get to a level that then will help you or them, everyone, to continue on your own, or to really know what you want. You want to do, that's it, that's all you want to do, or you want to go further and continue to learning more and to get even more comfortable with the language, so that you can make friends, you can stay in Paris longer. There are a lot of people who want to move there, or to travel more, or to work there. Well, see, that's a little more advanced level that you'll need. But you need first to know what you want. So this is going to give you, I guess, the background to know whether you take it on further, or that's all you need to do and you drop it from there. Because you will be able to travel and manage it in Paris after this program. So you're not going to feel lost there. But if you want, like I said, more, make friends, work there, move there, then you will know after the program. And so you will know if you want to continue or not. Okay, so don't forget that if you register before 8:00 p.m., you have only like an hour and 6 minutes. So if you register for Club Ohlala, clubohlala.com, and if you register for the program within this hour before 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, you will have a free one-on-one session with me, and this is something fantastic that many people want. Many people who are in this program already would love to have that, and so you'll get it if you register this next hour. Can I bring a friend to be my accountability and conversation buddy? Of course, please do that. This is about having conversation, making conversation. When you make conversation with someone you already know, it's so much better, so much more fun. Plus, you can actually have activities together. So if you know and if you're in the same proximity, that is fantastic, because you can make, you can go skating, or I don't know, I'm thinking skating here, swimming, or whatever it is that you do together, and you can actually speak French rather than English, and you can practice it with so much more fun. So if you come with a friend, it's definitely gonna be so fantastic, much more beneficial for you, and you're gonna get so much more value out of the program. Definitely recommend that. Okay, so we have only 4 minutes to go, and what I would like to do in these 4 minutes, I would like to go through this just to explain to you a little more. So yes, Club Ohlala is for the people who either don't speak the French or speak it a little bit, but they speak it. Yeah, they know French a little bit or intermediate level, but they can't make conversation. Even I have people who are already advanced French connoisseurs. They know French, they know the language, but they don't quite make conversation, and they need conversation. And so I have them in this program. And for the next trip to Paris. So most people will want to do this if they want to go to Paris. And wherever you are at, I'll meet you there, because no matter, like I said, no matter your level, I'm gonna make sure that I'm coming to your level and I'm helping you to get to your next level. So don't worry about that. So you have here what you've been missing all this time. You have here a few things that I mentioned, what you will have during this program. You're gonna have video tutorials, bite-sized video tutorials, over 100. You'll also have a Facebook group where you're gonna get my one-on-one attention, as well as the weekly Q&A calls when you answer questions. You get your answers for the questions, as well as a conversation if you want to. The French sentence, La Phrase Française, is a collection of resources that you're going to have access to. And the membership, you're going to have access to the programs in its next iterations, just not the live sessions. So if you come this year, so starting 2015 in January, and then if you come in 2016 again, you will have access to 2016 everything but the live sessions. You had this a little bit longer, so you may have seen what is in the program. Registrations close January the 4th, and if you register today before 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you're going to have a bonus free one-on-one session with me for pronunciation and whatever questions you have on one-on-one. But I suggest that you use it for pronunciation, because all the other questions will be answered anyway. This program is for people who are looking to go to Paris and who want to improve their conversational skills. If you want to become fluent or bilingual in 2 months, this is definitely not for you. Come and see what people are talking about the methods, and you will then see the benefits that you're going to get. And you have 100% risk-free satisfaction guarantee. You are going to have 2 hours full and undivided attention, so one-on-one on Skype if the conversation part doesn't quite work for you, and so you don't see the benefits. So this is all I had to say. I'm going to end it here. Let me just put it like that. And so don't forget that you can get, and you will get, 1 hour free one-on-one Skype session with me if you register in the next hour today. So thank you so much for being here with me, and I hope that this program, that this seminar webinar was enjoyable and that you got a lot from it. And so I will see you in the program. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.